A suspect is in custody in the mysterious stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students back in November.
The 28-year-old suspect was arrested thousands of miles away from the scene of the crime. Here with the latest now is ABC's Kayna Whitworth in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, where a hearing is set for the suspect today. Kayna, the suspect was working towards his doctorate. We know that in criminology at Washington State University. That's actually only about 10 miles, less than that, from the University of Idaho. Now, authorities believe he is the only suspect right now in this case. That's what they've said. What else have we learned about him?
Listen, we're learning a lot about him. Most people, first and foremost, describe him as being intelligent. We also talk to people who say, you know what, he was a little bit standoffish. He wasn't necessarily a loner, but when he was in social settings, he was sort of, on the outside of those things. What we also know about his education. First, before pursuing his PhD at Washington State University, he received his master's in criminology out here in Pennsylvania at DeSales University. His lawyer told me, though, that since he has been at this correctional facility, he has been in the suicide smock all the time, even during rec time. They also say they're accommodating his vegan diet. He also goes on to say, it's important to note that he maintains his innocence. He's eager to be exonerated, and he adds that Kohberger continued working as a teacher's assistant at Washington State University, interacting with students after those murders on November 13th. And this, of course, was before he drove across the country with his father back here to Pennsylvania for Christmas.
Well, Kayna, this break in the case comes almost 7 weeks after the 4 students' bodies were discovered. What do we know about how this suspect was identified?
Right, so what law enforcement or sources are telling us is that it was DNA. They used a public genealogy database, first finding a family member, building out that family tree, and then locating him. And then local authorities zeroed in on him because of that white Hyundai Elantra, which is now in police custody and is being processed.
And I know they're not giving many more details on exactly how they traced him, but a hearing is set for this afternoon. The suspect is expected to waive his extradition and be sent back to Idaho. So how quickly do we expect him to return to Idaho? And then what happens? What's the timeline once he gets back?
Right, it's really interesting because what his lawyer told me is that authorities here in Pennsylvania have been told they need to be prepared for Brian to be sent back to Idaho tonight or sometime tomorrow morning. So that's pretty quick. He could either fly, he could potentially be driven the 30 hours. Once he gets there, there will be a public defender waiting for him. When he appears in court in Idaho, that official arrest affidavit will be unsealed. And at that point, we will learn a lot more about what the prosecution has against him.
Yeah, a lot of questions. Again, we said it's been nearly 7 weeks since the killings took place. What's been the reaction from the victims' families to the suspect's arrest?
Right, so right after we heard his name, I was in touch with Steve Gonzalez, Kaylee's father, and his initial reaction was thankful. He was thankful and he was happy, and then he immediately started digging in. He said, this guy at this point means nothing to us, so now I'm going to search differently. I'm going to see if there's some kind of connection. There was also relief within the community as well, but then, you also hear from Ethan Chapin's family, and there's nothing that is going to bring these kids back, even though they have a suspect in custody. And additionally, when you talk to the police department there, their theory is that at this point, this is far from over. This could potentially be a 3-year-long trial. The death penalty is on the table.
Yeah, Kayna, that small college town there was left on edge for quite some time with a lot of questions, very few answers, very few leads, and now this arrest. You've been on top of the story. We appreciate you for your hard work. Kayna Whitworth.
Of course, thank you.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.